Okay, we have a video here. PoE 2 0.5 is so good, but these fixes need to happen. Scorpius usually has pretty great videos. I think I may have watched a bit of this before, but I'd like to give it a full react because Scorpius and I are diametrically opposed players. You see, I play about 50 to 100 hours. This league I played 100 hours. And he plays way more in trade league, mixed currency farming strategies, and has a very different viewpoint on the game. But usually he expresses it differently, even if we disagree. So we're going to go ahead and see what he thought about 0.5 2 months into the patch. I didn't pre-watch. I did watch a little bit of it, okay? So we're gonna go in with a little bit of pre-watch, okay? Let's do it.
So, it's been a while since I've finished everything that there is to do in the game, and I decided that now is a good time to talk about the current state and future of Path of Exile 2. I didn't want to rush into making this video just for the sake of making it. I wanted to experience as much as I could, and I did exactly that. I've got over 600 hours in 0.5 alone, focused on—
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so I said 1,000 hours. 600 hours in 0.5, almost 4K in the entire league. I immediately want to call out the type of gameplay that he's going through here. Looks like he's doing a Giga Juiced Expedition right now with Delirium. Yeah, so he's juiced everything to the maximum.
Exactly that. I've got over 600 hours in 0.5 alone, focused on 2 characters in softcore, tested 5 to 6 different kind of builds, and farmed and recorded data.
Oh my goodness, he records everything. Yeah. Yeah. No. So we are not the same. We are not the same.
For each mechanic, from easy and budget friendly to giga juiced and expensive. I tried multiple variations of meta and non-meta builds and abilities, killed all the pinnacle bosses, did all the challenges, farmed all the chase items, played hardcore SSF, and much more. And
wait. Did he do all that in hardcore solo self-found? No, he didn't. He did it in a trade league, right? I think so.
Here's my opinion on the current state of Path of Exile 2 and its future. Your opinion and feedback matters just as much as mine, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Whether you agree or disagree doesn't really matter, just share your opinion and I'm gonna read it. You can also join me live every single day right here on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. All links are down below. First of all, I'm gonna begin by saying that 0.5 is by far the best league that I've played so far, and it's not even close.
I disagree with Scorpius. 0.1 was the best league, in my opinion. I think that was the most original state of the game. Probably the most fun I had. So if you're judging a league based on fun, I'd say it was 0.1. If you're judging a league based on state of the game and stability, right, 0.5. I do agree. But 0.1 still was the most fun league for me.
However, there are some things that need fixing ASAP, and we're gonna get to those very soon. What makes this league the best, in my personal opinion, is simply the multitude of genius ideas that GG has implemented in the game. Number 1, for example, are the mechanical reworks they recently added. Breach, Delirium, Abyss, and Ritual were always fun in their own way, but I always felt that they were too plain and missed something small that would make them pop even more. With the new rework, they all feel so much better.
It's not even just the mechanics that feel great. I think what they really hit the nail on the head of, that is not the saying, but I'm going to go with it, are the rewards. Every single mechanic feels rewarding, no matter if you're an SSF or I've talked to my friends, if you're in trade. Whatever you're doing, it always felt like it was worth your while to boost your character's power. And I love that they all have multiple unique boss fights now. They have multiple unique mechanics. Fighting multiple bosses in Ritual was super fun while it lasted. I hope they add that back because I don't like the sequential stuff that is now in the game. But all these different ways to play these mechanics was phenomenal.
For example, entering a breach and watching it expand and then finishing it was nice and easy and a pretty fun mechanic. But with the 0.5 changes, having a progression bar, then having it stabilize with rares for a second phase that also drops womb gifts, hive blood, and a brand new Genesis tree that you can play around with, made it more complex and gave it its own identity, which made it—
There's so many different moments where you feel good. Like he kind of just pointed out one or two. He pointed out it opening and closing, and then the progress bar. Okay, so Breach just by itself. Let's think about moments where you feel good. And they can be super small. When it's opening, and then closing when you've hit the progress bar filling up, when the rares go in the center, when you kill the rares, then you get the big burst of womb blood and high blood and womb gifts. And then when you go back to the tree and you get to interact with the tree and get these incredible jewelry rewards or potentially currency rewards, there's just so many moments that make you feel like, hey, I'm glad I did this, you know?
It even more fun. The same could be applied to Delirium, Ritual, and Abyss, each in their own way. But they all have one new thing in common now. They feel like more than just a mechanic, as they each have their own identity with their own currency, NPCs, and hubs. This makes it easier for a player to fully farm a specific mechanic, which feels completely disconnected from the rest of the game, and then move on to the next one when they get bored. And when you
and the stories too. I know he's probably not going to touch on it, but just the built-out stories for each of these NPCs, how they first appear in your maps, how the dialogue changes based on your character class. You have some special moments if you're the monk right now. I mean, so much work was put into this. It feels like a secondary campaign that is completely sandbox. And I really like that feeling. And I can't wait to see it expanded in 0.
Combine these changes with a reworked and polished Atlas tree, we end up with a game where every single mechanic prints divines in its own way. No matter what you choose, there's a way you can print a ton of currency if that's what you're after. Ritual with purple omens, Breach with loot explosions and womb gifts for catalysts or rings, Delirium with splinters, Temple with its own temple currency, Abyss with omens and raw currency, and Expedition with sagas and a bunch of other stuff.
See, this looks like what I do at work, you guys. I just can't. I cannot get off work where I'm interacting with, I was going to say spreadsheets and Claude now. I use lots of Claude. I just can't. I get this is how people play the game and they love doing this and tracking everything in sheets. But my mantra is the less time you spend in game, the worse the game is and the worse your experience is likely to be. I know that's not the case with a lot of PoE players, but this looks like hell to me. No offense, Scorpius. I can't.
Obviously.
Also, you need dark mode. You really need to install that extension, man.
If you're min-maxing the game and your only goal is to make as much divs per hour as possible, some mechanics are obviously better or more efficient than others. But the game isn't made for min-maxers alone. It's made for a wider player base. So this whole change was amazing because it helps reduce player burnout.
100%. It gives, as someone just said in the chat, you love they gave us more direct goals, complete the Atlas, complete the Masters, complete all challenges. I'm a dad gamer and will still be able to complete all of it. And you wanted to. Subject 9875, you and I, same wavelength, my man. Yep. And by the way, if you are a Chayula monk, you do not, well, something different happens if you're a Chayula monk and you interact with Chayula.
It was very difficult to say in point 4 with the temple, since it was primarily the go-to mechanic simply because of how much better the results were compared to everything else. Another great addition to these mechanics of point 5 is that almost all of them have these jackpot insanely rare chase items that you can randomly get or farm that will keep you busy. Ritual with the belts, Simulacrum with voices, Temple with communion, anomaly maps with lineage support gems, and so much more. This adds to the player's dopamine each time those mechanics reward them, further increasing play.
I hate that word so much, dopamine. I mean, he's right. That's what I was describing, but I despise that word.
Their engagement and their will to farm, which is also very important. Another reason on my list that point 5 felt so good is the brand new Aldor's mechanic, the Verisium Remnants. I feel that this new mechanic has brought much more to the game than any other mechanic introduced before. A mechanic where you
Abyss was number 1. Scorpius, totally disagree.
You can choose your reward, reroll if you don't like it, includes a loot explosion at the end, can be juiced, can be chained, has its own currency that adds a separate layer of player power, which can be used as a defense or a resource for new abilities, also alters items and uniques, has a ton of crafting capabilities and potential, and can be combined with other mechanics as well. It just seems a very well-rounded mechanic. With everything I just mentioned, plus the ocean exploration, it shouts core. It single-handedly expanded the game further and deeper, and it's one of the best mechanics that you can actually farm without it overshadowing the rest of them significantly like Temple did in 0.4. And apart from this new mechanic, there's one more reason which ties well to everything else that I've mentioned so far, and that's the newly added Atlas Masters, the Atlas map, and the reworked Atlas tree. Makes the game fuller, and most importantly, it fixed a major problem that we had, which was the endgame progression. What I mean is that I personally felt
there's so many road stops. It's amazing. Yeah, I think the endgame update knocked it out of the park. Once we have Act 5 and 6 in a couple months, guys. Oh my goodness. It's just gonna be what a full freaking awesome game we're gonna have. But I'm gonna miss the interludes a little bit. Man, they built it out this patch. They really built out the endgame.
that I had the freedom to explore at my own pace and will. I didn't necessarily have to go in a certain direction to feel the progression towards the endgame of requiring and unlocking all the important aspects of the endgame. And if we look at the late endgame, these aspects of the game also give you the ability to giga juice every path of the endgame, which is what results in all mechanics being super viable to farm. So these were some of the most important and best changes in 0.5 that I've noticed that made a huge difference to the game and the way that I played and experienced the game. Of course, I've mostly talked about endgame, which is where the real game starts, but some others.
No, Scorpius. No. Is he going to advocate for a campaign skip? Oh, crap. No. We used to call dopamine fun. Hell yeah, Rymork. Yep. It's just fun.
Small points that are 100% worth mentioning are things like the campaign navigational additions and map reworks. Although they could do a bit better with shortening some maps more, cutting down some RP timers and other stuff that feel unnecessarily long, it's still better than before. The two new ascendancies is also a good point to talk about. The Spirit Walker and the Martial Artist were spot on perfect. Both of them were unique to their class and brought something different to the game that we didn't really have before. They didn't feel like a slightly different version or better version of something else, which also helps with my...
Totally true. They were unique and beautiful. Bang on about this. Hey, Jazzarus, what's happening, my man? God bless to you, too. It's been a while. I think the campaign is perfectly fine. You know what? That's my hot take. I think the campaign is fine. Deal with it, guys.
My final point here, which is the build diversity. I feel like the build diversity in PoE 2 got better after 0.4 with the addition of the Druid, but 0.5 helped shape it up even more. With the two new ascendancies and some great balance changes that they've made, even though there are a few abilities that we thought they're gonna get nerfed, but they didn't, we've seen a ton of builds being experimented with in different unique variations across multiple classes and ascendancies. These were some of the most important changes and improvements to the game. Now, let's talk about the not so pleasant one.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the feedback now. By the way, his character looks absolutely sick. Yeah, I think the campaign is probably the most fun part of the entire game is the campaign, and then the bosses in endgame if you struggle against them. My second favorite part.
First, and definitely the most important, is the performance.
Yes, he is 100% true. I'm glad they fixed the one NVIDIA crash. There's still a ways to go.
I'm not sure what needs to happen, and I really wish that I had the skills and knowledge to help GEG with this, but I definitely know that something drastic needs to happen. Like, we cannot go into 1.0 with the performance that we've experienced in 0.5, especially with the launch of such a huge release and the amount of people who will be joining the game. The performance of PoE 2 has never ever been smooth sailing. I've always heard comments and everything since 0.1, but it was always a based on the individual kind of case. It always depended on what rig you're on, what console you're playing, what settings you have. In 0.5, I feel like there isn't a single person right now watching this video who hasn't had any of these performance issues. I'm talking about...
For me, it was just the NVIDIA crash, so now my game, I'm blessed. Now my game is pretty much fine. You just quit PoE 1 for the first time in 5 years, back on PoE 2. I know, brother, it's a crazy feeling, isn't it?
Crashing, stuttering, severe FPS drops, disconnection, server latency.
Okay,
Shaders resetting for no reason, bugs getting you killed, bugs getting you disconnected, boss or monster glitches. Some builds are almost unplayable, and party play can definitely fry up your system. And apart from all of this, we've seen an insane amount of bugs throughout the 0.5 launch.
All right,
obviously,
brother, here, I'm gonna spit some truth to everybody watching this. and to Scorpius. This is the reality, and it always will be. This game is so freaking complex, convoluted. There's all this crap going on. This game is going to be buggy. It has patches every 3 to 4 months that add a ton of content to the game. There's going to be bugs existing. I know it sucks, but it's real. Party play is never going to be fixed ever in your life. You will never be able to play party play and be able to see what your characters are doing. And due to the way the game is made, performance is always going to be shit in some regard. You are going to have so many monsters on screen. Your character is going to be shooting so many projectiles. Your area of effect is going to scale to be so large. You will never have a good performance on your system. It does not matter what your system is. It doesn't matter if you're playing Xbox, PS5, a supercomputer. It doesn't matter. The game will break. If they went with a game that was more readable, had more visual clarity, wasn't allowing you to scale nearly as much in terms of your area of effect, projectiles shooting out per second, number of projectiles, juicing all these monsters on screen, then we have something to talk about. If you are doing what many players are doing, super juice, 200% delirium maps with endgame builds, yes, the game is going to play like shit. I don't know what else to say. If you're doing the campaign and you're having performance problems, yeah, maybe you should look at that, but it's probably your system. People complaining about performance issues that aren't crashes and like FPS drops and stuff. Guys, it's just a part of the game. I have played Path of Exile 1 for 7 years now. Okay? That game has been destroying computers when you get to endgame for over a decade. Okay? So I don't know. People always talk about this, and the crashes, real problem. Those need to be fixed. Those are obviously performance stability issues. But the frame drops and it being choppy when you're playing crazy juice content, it's always going to happen. So yeah, just had to address that. Like the bugs are going to happen. They're just going to happen, guys. Yes, they suck. They're going to happen. There's no way to fix all of them.
I'm going to say there's a lot of content. Obviously, there's going to be bugs. I agree. But up until today, there's some ridiculous bugs that are completely destroying the experience of a lot of players that need fixing ASAP. One thing I do have to mention, though, that I absolutely love, in 0.5, GG super active with addressing a lot of these bugs while also adding new content to the game. The attention that they've shown in 0.5 is something that we didn't get before, and it definitely helps the game. However, with the upcoming 0.5.5 economy reset league that they're going to be doing, I truly hope that they mainly focus on fixing the performance and the existing bugs, but we're going to talk about that in a later section. Now, the second topic I wanted to discuss that didn't quite sit well with me are the city maps and Delhi juicing. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, let me paint you a picture. This
is the part of the video I have pre-watched, by the way, guys. Somebody sent me this clip and I watched it. So I have seen this part. People will also disagree with my take here. Yeah, I'll share a link with the video here. I'll just do it now. I usually do it at the end, but I'll just share it right here.
This is only if you want to run the maps at their maximum potential. Mechanics such as Breach and Abyss require a specific method of juicing to maximize your profit and rewards from those maps. So what you gotta do is the following. You need to run random maps with Delirium tablets until you trigger a Grand Mirror map, which spawns randomly from maps that you run with Delhi tablets. Then you need to find an area with city maps. The reason why is because we have an Atlas node that allows you to add a fourth tablet only on those specific maps. The city maps. Obviously, the more tablets that you have, the juicier it's going to be, so there's literally no reason to run 3 tablets rather than 4 if you want to maximize it. So you need to path around your Atlas map looking for cities, which are mostly found around citadels. When you find the cities, then you need to go back to the Grand Mirror, complete that Grand Mirror map, and then select the recently discovered city maps in the hopes that it will cover all of the city maps with Delhi Fog. Why? Because that will trigger the Delhi mirrors, enhancing the maps even further. When you do that, nope, you're not done. Those Delhi maps have a progression bar that you can push to 200%. The higher the percentage, the harder and juicier it is. So of course, you want to run your main maps at 200%. So now what you want to do is you want to go and fully complete around 5 to 6 maps so you can bring that percentage from 0 to 100%. When you do that, then and only then can you run the city maps with 200% Delhi and 4 tablets of your chosen mechanic. Keep in mind that there's only around 8 city city maps within a region, and some of them might not even get hit by the deli. So you need to
Okay, so he just explained the strategy. This is the super juicing strategy that the top tier gamers have engineered, have optimized to do in Path of Exile 2 0.5. And he is essentially saying there's too much setup work here, there's too much random chance, it's too convoluted. I say nay. I say if you want to have the highest rewards in the game, the highest chance at the best items, the most currency, you need to do something like this. What are you supposed to do? Is it supposed to just be like an easy setup? It makes sense to me. And remember, my take is as a non-super juicer. It makes sense to me that it requires this amount of 1, preparation, 2, random chance, and 3, knowledge of setting this up to happen. I know that it is, I think he compares it to like the towers, the overlapping towers, but I still see, I don't see it as the towers because the towers was basically random chance. There's a lot of other building blocks happening here. And I guess I don't, what do juicers want? Do they want it to be kind of a deterministic way to get the absolute best farm in the game? Or should it be something that is pretty convoluted like this, which is what makes it so hard to access and what makes it so lucrative? Remember, outsider looking in. But I just think like this is kind of like optimizing the fun out of the game and then being like, this isn't fun. That's just my take. So let's see. Hey, Guitarholic, what's happening, man? Yeah, I'm streaming every Wednesday now, Guitarholic. Hope you're doing well. It's late for you. What the heck are you doing up? Thanks for the 29 months, dude. Life has been busy with pregnant wife, 2 kids, job, just everything. I needed to reorient what I was doing with my life, right? Take some time to chill, play some old games, hang with family, get back on my workout routine. The cruise actually made me more tired than I was before the cruise, but we're back now. We're back every Wednesday. You made a post about it, Keto. Okay, I will read your post, Keto, after this video because my take is what I just said. Pretty hot with 700 upvotes, 500 comments. I don't do this, never will. I've literally never done that. And I played 350 hours. Hey, bro, what's happening, man? Bosses should be the challenge. I agree. If I progress far enough, that is how I have fun. Me too, Damus Anus. I love your name. Or limit the number of mods, yeah. Oh my goodness, Guitar, that's insane. You're about to go on Holiday Friday, so congratulations. ATAB, that's exactly my take. That's what they don't understand. The reason it's tuned to be so juicy is because it's tedious to access. If the tedium is removed, the juice will come down too. Monkey's paw curls and all. Yeah. Well, if you experience super juice content, it's tough to play normal maps after. Yeah, because so once you set this up, it's kind of hard to do it again, and it can miss. Right? Maybe the juice should be tradable. Ooh, okay. Thanks, Keto. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I haven't been live for like a month and a half, so you caught me at the right time. I'll read your thread after finishing this video, but I watched this clip. This was the only pre-watch. I just disagree with what Scorpius is saying. I think there needs to be this tedium. I think it needs to be difficult. I think there needs to be chance because it is so lucrative. And I don't really see this as a problem. I think that the tower thing was more problematic because it was pure random chance. This is not. The brothers try going to take on THT together. I'm going to play. My brother is not. Thanks, Keto. When my dad gets back from his Alaskan cruise, I think we're going to do a podcast together. All right. Let's see what else he has to say.
Repeat this process over and over again in different areas. Again, when I said you have to do it, this is if you want to min-max to its full potential. So now that you know the process, I think you can understand what my problem is and where I'm going with this. Although it gets easier and quicker the more you do it, it's just annoying and unnecessary. It feels like the exact same thing as the 3-4 tower setup that we used to have, where you'd path to random bad maps just so you can get the good maps that you want to, which is something that GEG and Jonathan specifically said that they don't want players to do. They want each map to be significant and valuable, and that's definitely not the case.
But the thing is, you're asking for all the maps to be the most valuable and everything. It can't be that way. You need to have bad maps. Jonathan and Mark have also said that you need the bad maps to make the good maps feel better. You can't constantly be eating the glazed donuts, okay? You're going to need to shove some broccoli in your mouth and a piece of cooked chicken, right? You can't just keep eating the glazed donuts, okay? It's not good for you. Okay. I totally agree with Scorpius. He responded to me too. I left a comment. We'll read it in a moment.
I personally felt. Not sure about you guys, let me know, but I didn't. The moment you have just one specific area that's better than the rest, obviously that makes that area so much more valuable than everything else.
Yes.
And on top of that, if you add one specific mechanic enhancing it by 200%, nothing else matters apart from the combination of those two specific things. A solution to this could be removing the 4th tablet slot from city maps specifically. Make it free for all maps, but add a different requirement. For example, tier 1 to 14 maps have 3 tablet slots. Tier 15 plus have the 4th. Obviously, everyone's going to be running tier 15s, but that's a standard goal now anyway. Or if you don't like that, create one more level of maps. Have the default maximum waystone tier be at 16, and if corrupted, it becomes 17. And lock the 4th tablet behind tier 16 and 17 maps. This wouldn't only give players a goal to work towards, it would also increase the difficulty of the game slightly, which is something that the majority of players, myself including, are asking for. I'm sure that this system would create other problems that I probably didn't think about, but I'm also sure that it's much better than what we currently
okay, so if that system happened where you could run T16s and you get the 4th tablet, the new problem would be, oh, I can't run a map unless I have T16 maps. And you need to either trade for them, and I bet GGG is going to make them extremely rare to corrupt. Therefore, they will be very expensive, so you'll need to farm unprofitable maps to fund your tier 16 map obsession, or just try to corrupt them yourself. That just becomes what you always then need to do instead of, see, maybe I'm an optimist. Scorpius, am I an optimist? If you watch the Scorpius, I don't know why I'm acting like you're in the room with me, but I see this as extra icing on top of my lovely cake. I think if you added the T16 method, unlocking the 4th tablet, that becomes the floor. That becomes something that you always think you need to do. I see this as like something that, oh yes, sometimes I will find this perfect scenario and I get the opportunity to set this all up. I think Scorpius is kind of saying this is necessary to be rewarded, which big pushback there from me.
have now chasing one specific region of the entire atlas, which makes 90% of the entire atlas almost useless to go to. And regarding Delhi...
No, see, I totally disagree. I haven't seen any of this now. This is not watched. 90% of the atlas totally useless to go to. That is a crazy mentality. No, totally disagree. No.
Any mechanic that can enhance your juicing in maps in the future of the game, there could be a similar system to what PoE 1 has with Maven, Searing, Exarch, and the Eater. For those who don't know, I'm not going to explain the full thing, just TLDR. In PoE 1, once you progress, kill some of the pinnacle bosses, and hit some specific requirements on specific mechanics, you get 3 buttons next to your maps, your map that you're going to go to, where you can select which one you want to enhance the map. Each one juices it differently, and it's up to you if you want to do it. They don't need to copy paste the PoE 1 system, but having completed the Delirium progress, met the requirements, you killed the boss, we could just have a toggle on and off option on our maps that people can select whether they want it in their maps, juice it by 100% or 200%. Obviously, everybody who wants to min-max is going to go 200, but at least that gives players the option who don't have insane gear or want to skip the Delhi to not have the Delhi or have it a little bit. And it cuts down all the pathing and preparations required to run a few maps first. That's my personal solution. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Let me know what your comments are.
I disagree, Scorpius. I even don't like that solution. I like the as you put it, the basically the friction that you need to set up. And yeah, Kajiro, I think adding that to from PoE 1, like something like that, unneeded complexity here. I call this the Vampire Survivors mentality. They don't want to earn their power. They don't want to do the campaign, want to skip to the good bit. Yeah, that's the trend. That's the trend. I saw an amazing video from, I don't know if you guys know who this is, Laura Fryer, that came out today, popped up on my feed. And it was titled something like, game devs, stop removing friction, be mean to the players. And I was like, yes, preach, Laura, preach. It was a really good video. Let me get it up. Laura Fryer, Xbox. Yep, Xbox. He has a YouTube channel. This one right here. I'm not subbed on my my Talkative Try account. It's this video, The Power of Friction.
Our future was being decided.
Reclaiming the soul of game dev. It's excellent video. Massive shout out. Okay, we are back. We are back here.
And my last major issue with point 5, worth mentioning, is the endgame pinnacle bosses.
He's going to say they're too easy, and I'm going to agree with him, and he's going to win all of us back. Are you ready? Are you ready, guys?
Sure, if you guys have had the same experience that I've had, but personally, I find them non-existent. They don't feel like bosses. They just feel like larger, rare monsters with stories behind them. Almost every single rare monster in Grand Expedition is probably tougher than the pinnacle bosses we currently have. On top of that, I also think that the majority of pinnacle bosses have terrible loot tables and aren't
disagree on that based on what he said before, though.
Even worth running. But even the ones that are worth running have zero difficulty or challenge. You simply go in, hit them twice, wait for the second phase, hit them once more, and you're done. And I'm not even talking about expensive or crazy builds, by the way. I don't have the perfect solution for this, but something I'd like to see is giving players the choice to select their own difficulty, because I don't think the Doriani is doing a very good job at the moment. I'd like to see their loot tables be much, much better than now. Increase the amount of chase items so we can find from the pinnacle bosses, and maybe add a loot explosion upon killing a boss with a bunch of different useful things like currency.
Yeah, Shrill, we talked about this at the beginning. Nerfing player power is the solution, but I don't think they're going to do it. I'd like the... Am I not remembering 0.1 correctly, but didn't they have 4 levels of pinnacle bosses, and you got higher chances to get better rewards, the higher level pinnacle boss? I loved that system. That reminded me of raids. I loved that.
And raw gems and whatever. Give players the choice to select easy mode and make those chase items super rare with a smaller loot explosion. Medium mode, increase the drop chance of the chase item and increase the drop size of the loot explosion. Hard mode, increase it even more. And then Uber mode, increase it even more. But an Uber boss that doesn't scale back to hard if you die, doesn't throw you out after one try, doesn't reset its health to where it was before. A difficulty that truly challenges us, and upon completing it, we get a loot explosion so good that even if you...
Wait, did he say Uber bosses don't throw you out after you die? They totally should.
Try, doesn't rescale back. And then Uber mode, increase it even more. But an Uber boss that doesn't scale back to hard if you die, doesn't throw you out after one try, doesn't reset its health to where it was before. A difficulty that truly challenges us, and upon completing it, we get a loot explosion so good that even...
Nah, you should get thrown out if you die in an Uber. Hey Kadashi, I do not do vertical. I have never tried vertical before. I'm afraid it will break everything. He's saying they shouldn't. Wait, am I mishearing him? They shouldn't do that. I feel like they should, you know? I would be much happier if we had quest version boss, farming boss, and then Uber boss. Don't even give it good rewards. Honest, I'm not even kidding you guys. I would like to just, like, it's bragging rights. I would totally be fine with Uber bosses literally just being bragging rights. Give me a 50 million HP, higher damage Arbiter of Divinity with maybe one special move or something. Maybe it drops foiled versions of the unique items that he typically drops. I think that would be so cool. Am I the only one that thinks this way? I think I must be one of the only people who think this way. That would be awesome. I would strive for that. I'd be like, I want to kill Uber Arbiter of Divinity and try to get one of his foiled uniques this league. I'm the only one. Dang it. No. How about reverting dodge roll back to 0.10? How about that, guys? Am I still the only one? Am I still the only? Do I have any allies in the chat? I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up now.
Even if you don't get the chase item, it's still worth running it. I mean, if you cannot kill the Uber boss, you're not ready. You either need to become better at the game or get better gear. It is what it is. Get good. Yep. It is a game. We need to have that challenge in the game. Whoever doesn't like it, just don't run it. Run the previous version. That's my take. I don't know if you guys agree with that or you don't agree with that, but let me know what you think about the bosses. Anyway, those are all of the criticisms and feedbacks that I had. The majority...
Scolios just laid some crazy wisdom that it has taken me years to learn as a creator, and I think he's totally right. I think a lot of people that make these feedback videos should be focusing on stating their problems rather than finding solutions, because most of the ideas are god awful. I am in this camp. Yes, I have done this. I have done this as recently as last league. Just present your problems and let GGG do the rest. It's fine to theory craft, but sometimes the ideas are very narrow-minded. So true. I have done this in the past. This is something I've needed to improve on. Yep.
As I said, the majority are positive. Overall, I'm giving it 100% a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I changed my score from 9.9 out of 10 to 8.5 out of 10 after playing the endgame and crashing more and getting a little bored. So my final score, very similar to his, 8.5 out of 10. A fair score, Scorpius.
4.5. Now, regarding the future of the game, we're expecting a brand new patch at the end of August or September, which will also reset the economy. 0.5.5, for anybody who didn't know what I said before, will be a massive patch according to GG, and will also bring an economy reset.
It'll be a content patch. I don't know if they said massive, but I think it's going to have unique items, maybe ascendancies they haven't confirmed, and lots of balance changes.
Reset and probably a few new additions to the game. We are expecting to see at least 2 new ascendancies. One for the Ranger, probably the Arcane Archer that was previously teased multiple times, and one for the Druid. Those 2 classes are the only ones that haven't received their 3rd ascendancy, and it would make 100% sense if they did that before 1.0 releases later this year. We're also expecting to get Toda, which is Trial of the Ancestors, which is the 3rd trial for getting our ascendancy point. And I'm also assuming that they're gonna fix a ton of bugs and balance changes, so definitely keep in mind that your builds and abilities might get nerfed. I've heard from a lot of people that they're expecting new acts or even a new class in 0.5.5, but personally, I would prefer if they fix the performance instead of doing that.
They're not going to waste that.
Regarding the economy reset that I mentioned before, they've already...
And Toda's not ready. Toda might not even come for 1.0. That's what they said. I think Scorpius misremembered. Toda might not even come for 1.0.
confirmed that it will happen, but haven't explained how, and I'm getting a ton of questions about it. So I'm not 100% sure myself, but what I'm assuming that they're going to do is something very similar to Second Wind League that we had in 0.4, if you guys remember, where the current Runes of Aldur will remain as is, and you'll be able to enter the newly added league, which will have a full economy reset that doesn't affect your current characters or currency. Anyway, this was my full opinion on the state of PoE 2 and my feedback on some negatives that I see in the game. It would be awesome if you guys let me know what your personal opinions are. It doesn't matter what anybody else believes. What you believe matters. Just write it down there. I'll read it. Let's see if we agree or disagree. And of course, as always, you can find me live either here on YouTube, on Twitch, or on Kick, whatever platform you prefer. All of the links are going to be down below. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one.
It's a good video. I disagreed with a bunch of it, but I think it was pretty fair. Oh, look, that's us. That's us, guys. Oh my goodness. I'll give it a like. I'll throw it in the chat, you guys. Yeah. I like watching League reviews now on stream. It's fun. I did watch the clip like you said, and I told him, I am not a juicer, but when you laid out all the best steps needed to get the best maps in the game, my take is the juice is worth the squeeze. Sounds like a decent amount of setup that pays off way more than how many others I play Elk and Go. And then Scorpius said, worth the squeeze indeed. However, the problem, in my opinion, is that city maps have having this power over every other map completely negates the majority of the Atlas tree. C, but it's just, like I said, it's the cherry on top. B, the setup becomes annoying after 20 times of doing it. Well, that's optimizing the fun of the game, brother. Constantly path it 20 times doing it? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Constantly pathing through bad maps to find an area of city maps to then begin the setup. You can run a maximum of 6 to 8 maps to then having to do it all over again. C, RNG also plays a role here because sometimes you'll have to set up the whole area and won't be worth the squeeze. So eventually what a lot of people have realized that it's oftentimes better running something like Grand Expeditions where it still requires you to set up, but at least the reward, excitement, dopamine, or even drops are instant within the same session and map. Or alternatively, run something less juicy, which requires almost no setup and can be spammed, for example, rituals for purple omens. I still agree with my OG take. Just move on. Just move on if it's not fun anymore. Good video, though. Good video. I like Scorpius's videos. I appreciate the way he does his content. It's pretty sick. Pretty sick. Thanks for watching with me, guys.